One reason why we need to better understand the link between society, human socio-economic perspective and ecology is because of the many connections between ecosystem and people that live in these territories. So when you get a degraded ecosystem, because of the many functions these ecosystems play and the services that people get from the ecosystem, you will have negative impact on many people, whether locally, sometimes far away from the ecosystem. And this is where the concept of ecosystem services, beneficiaries, plays. Your ecosystem degraded might explain that fishes cannot fish anymore in the surrounding areas, or that tourists that were going to the ecosystems, to the coast, to benefit and to enjoy landscape, enjoy the scenery, might not be able to benefit from the degraded ecosystem. When you will think about solutions for restoring degraded coastal ecosystem, you need to better understand the environment and the socio-economic context in which degradation and restoration will take place. This requires that you assess who wins or who loses from the degradation and from the restoration, their economic importance. It also requires you to understand how you might be able to modify the activities of some of the sectors that are currently creating the degradation. First, you will need to, for your territory, citizens, your inhabitants, demonstrate that your restoration project is, from a societal perspective, useful and delivers benefit. Second, if you need financing to support your project, you might have to do a cost-benefit assessment that you bring to financing institutions, and that will be a key element in justifying whether you will receive or not receive financing. Third, if you properly identify who loses and who wins from your restoration, beneficiary on one side, but also sectors, activities that will have additional cost, social and economic information on how much this negative impact will be, can help you to identify measures to reduce some of the burden and to ensure this sector's citizens will be on board of your restoration activities. And finally, beyond the restoration itself, for citizens, for society, you will want the project has been implemented and is successful. We talked so far about a strategy or project that is more locally based, but this is only a small part of the challenge with coastal restoration. More and more, we need to find ways that restoration, in particular building on nature-based solutions and restoring natures, gets not the exception, but becomes a rule that everybody follows in all coasts of Europe. And to do that, you will need to look at, besides where you have tested and demonstrated, what are the socio-economic context and whether your innovation, your nature-based solution can be implemented, and what would then be the possible positive and negative impacts of implementing it elsewhere. At the same time, at a policy level, you will need to design instruments, financing or penalties to guide and to steer restoration in the right direction. And this also requires some socio-economic elements to guide your policy making and the design of these economic instruments. My job as an economist is clearly to demonstrate and justify that you need social and economic evidence in supporting coastal restoration. Easy to say, maybe more difficult to do in practice. So the first message might be, do it, do social and economic assessment, bring economic evidence, but do it from the start of your process. Because too often, this social and economic evidence, thinking, impacts are only taken on board towards the end of the process once, more or less, a choice has been made on the project and the restoration itself. One word of caution still, when you apply social and economic thinking, relates to the complexity of nature-based solution and bringing nature to restore coastal ecosystem. When you do that, you will deliver many positive ecosystem services. You will reach many sectors and inhabitants, but in fact you will deal with many sectoral policies, financing instruments and the like. Today, these are very fragmented. Financing is organized, decided in silos. So one of the challenge and one of the difficulties will be to bring representatives from these different policies, from these different financing institutions, towards supporting your project with its multifunctionalities. So essential to the success will be to bring together these financing streams and different policies, so collectively a decision is taken to implement it, because it brings to each of these policies a bit and collectively a lot.